Been a fun few weeks.
Yeah, like the craziest.
It's been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
This past weekend was bananas, though. So we do this show in Columbus, Ohio. Dave Chappelle comes, surprises the audience, goes on stage, and it's probably the greatest round of applause I've ever seen anyone get in my life. Not probably, definitely. 100%.
Ohio's own Dave Chappelle in the main arena of the main city of Ohio.
In the shot. Oh, we can play it on the big screen. Play it. This is nuts.
The whole thing is so spontaneous.
Now listen how long this goes. And this is a standing ovation. The standing ovation literally goes on for a minute. How wild is that? That was amazing.
It's so cool, and it's like it almost in a weird way makes me happy that the lockdowns and all that happened, because it made something like that much crazier. Like it's like I feel like people really appreciate live, spontaneous insanity now more than ever.
Yes, for sure. Well, it was just an awesome moment. You know, it was just a great moment.
Yeah.
He just decides to roll in, come up. And then we all went to Vegas. So then we all went to see the Canelo Alvarez fight. You and I also saw Abu Dhabi. So we saw Gordon Ryan dominate at Abu Dhabi. And then we went to see two of the craziest fucking UFC fights I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Gregory Rodriguez and Chidi Njokuani, which was a crazy fight that went back and forth until Rodriguez caught him. And Rodriguez had the worst cut I've ever seen in my life. And then Song Yadong, the guy who fights after him against Corey Sandhagen, also has a horrific cut.
And there was a massive cut in the fight just before that with Feely. And he had blood all over him just from choking out the other guy that was on top of him bleeding. There was blood the whole time.
Yeah, it was a wild 3 fights. That's right. We saw that fight, too. We saw the last round of that fight live.
But that cut that Rodriguez had was absolutely insane.
Insane. The thing about that experience, though, I think we did it in the wrong order. I think it should have, like, Abu Dhabi was amazing. Abu Dhabi you can kind of put anywhere, but you kind of have to put boxing before MMA or it ruins boxing for you.
Totally.
It just doesn't feel the same.
Right.
It's just, it's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm a boxing fan. I was super happy to be there. It was a wild fight, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, it's like getting a hand job after a gangbang. It's like, I didn't really need that. Sort of had that earlier, but better. UFC is just so advanced.
The other thing that boxing does is they play the national anthems. They played 3 national anthems. And it's like, good Lord. So they play the Kazakhstan national anthem, and then the dude says, you know, go Triple G. And everybody's like, fuck you. Yeah. This is Mexican Independence Weekend, man.
Yeah.
And then they play the Mexican national anthem. Everybody goes crazy, and they sing along, which was pretty dope. Because, like, when you're a place that's that big and it's all, like, I mean, it had to be at least half Mexicans.
Oh, that's,
right?
Yeah, at least 70%. Yeah.
Whatever the number was.
Yeah.
So when these songs were playing, like when Canelo has his walkout song, which is also in Spanish, or when they're singing the Mexican Independence Day song, they're singing this song, the Mexican national anthem, rather. They're singing this song in Spanish all together. So there's thousands of people singing along.
Yeah. Before the fight started, I saw in the stands there was like 30 or 40 seats that were blocked off that were just completely empty in this sea of humans. And I'm like, the performer in me is like, well, why would they lose that many seats? Why would they possibly? Where are those people? What bus didn't make it here?
Exact same thing.
You saw it?
I thought they maybe could get burned by the fireworks.
Right.
That was my first thought.
Yeah. And then it's Canelo's entrance, and the lights go off, pop back on, and there's a whole mariachi band.
A full band playing for Canelo as he comes out. I legitimately thought that was probably where the fireworks were, and people could get fucked up by those fireworks.
Yeah.
Because, people have been fucked up by fireworks in fight entrances before. Pretty bad. To the point where they got burns all over their body, and they couldn't fight. I know that happened in Pride. In Pride, the dude got really cooked. He was a Brazilian guy. God, I don't remember his name, but he was an early pioneer of MMA. And he was fighting in Pride, and he got torched by the fireworks. You got it here?
Or was this from the fight you just saw?
Oh, yeah, this is the one from the fight we just saw. This is that's the mariachi band. See, I thought those seats behind them were like people could get hit with those fireworks.
No. Maybe.
Because you see how they blew them off? They blew off a lot of all that shit. I was like, you can't sit under that.
Yeah, it would have been an obstructed view from that screen.
Yeah, it's not like that wasn't a sold-out fight. That was
Right.
a sold-out fight. And so Chappelle and I were in the third row, which was amazing. We were like right there. And then this guy comes over and says, you guys have to move. These tickets are not yours. And Dave goes, I'm Dave Chappelle. I'm not moving anywhere. literally says it like that. He's wearing sunglasses. He's the coolest guy that's ever lived. And so the guy comes back and said, these seats are actually for Travis Scott, but we want to put you on the ringside. And Dave and I look at each other and we're like, okay. And so they take us from the third row to the no row. Like, it's not even a row. You're fucking right there, dude. We're sitting like where the officials sit. It was incredible. They were right there. It was really good. And we saw the last, like, I think 6 rounds like that. Something like that. But it was a good fight. It was a really good fight. I mean, Canelo Alvarez is a bad motherfucker. And Triple G tried to turn it on at the end. He just didn't have enough to take the decision. But it was still a good fight. And you got to realize that Triple G's 40 years old, too. Yeah. That's so old for a world-class boxer. There's only a few guys who've been able to pull that off. Like Bernard Hopkins and Archie Moore back in the day was an older guy who was really good. Dwight Muhammad Qawi, he fought well into his 40s. It's just like some of these guys, they just one day the wheels fall off. Might be you're 36, maybe you're 37, 38, and just one day the wheels fall off.
Like ADCC, everyone was so young, like Baby Shark.
Well, how about Ruotolo? 19 years old and wins ADCC, youngest guy ever. That kid is wild. He and his brother are so good. Those guys are so good and they're 19. It's incredible.
There were some times where it looked like he was in trouble. I mean, these guys just, they make it look so easy. It looks like they're just rolling around like it's an accident.
That's Gordon. Gordon makes it look easy. Yeah. Those guys are moving like ninjas.
Right.
They have a totally different kind of style. Gordon is just like, he just puts poison on people.
Yeah.
He just grabs them and puts poison on them. They're fucked.
It's like they're mentally compromised, it seems like. Like they are all buying into the hype of him.
No. They just realize he's that good. So they're scared. But when I say scared, I don't mean terrified. What I mean is like, they feel the moment, right? Every one of those world-class fighters that goes up against another world-class fighter, at that moment, when the match is about to start and everything's on the line, they have no idea who's going to win. They all have like a wild feeling of anticipation. But with Gordon, they have it worse because no one's beating him. He's just running through everybody, and he's talking shit. And he's like a giant, good-looking guy. He's a giant, good-looking guy who talks shit. Look at him. I mean, look at that guy. I mean, if that wasn't a real person, if you said to me, is that CGI or is that a real person? I'd say that's CGI, man. Nobody looks that good. Unless he's a bodybuilder. Why would he look that good?
Andy's cool and funny.
He's the
fact that
best.
He's so nice.
said that he called his mom before the tournament and told her that he won.
But the thing is like there's no one like him. He's 27 years old, and he's widely accepted as the greatest of all time already. He hasn't been beaten in his last 50-something matches, and he gets so bored with it that he literally writes down on a piece of paper how he's going to strangle them. I'm going to get a person like this. I'm going to get this guy in a triangle. I'm going to get this guy in a mounted triangle. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah, he told me before that fight, he's like, I'm going to give him a single leg and let him take me down.
Oh, yeah, that was the Nicky
Yeah.
Rodriguez
Yeah.
fight. Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah. Well, they were really good training partners. Nicky Rod is a beast, too. That whole thing was wild, man, to watch how good the level of jiu-jitsu is now. It's so exciting. It's so exciting because these guys are the top of the food chain guys, and then they're strangling each other. So it's not just that like a top of the food chain jiu-jitsu guy can go against a regular person and use it. Is they're using it on each other. The best of the best guys are using it on each other, and they're tapping each other. It's like, you know, and Gordon Bryan got Galvao's back and tapped him. It's like, oh, that's a crazy moment, man. That is a fucking passing of the torch if you're ever going to see one. I mean, even when he did it, he didn't even have a fully locked-in rear naked choke. He just had the forearm across, and I'm sure he had tremendous leverage, but it's not as strong as he could have gotten. And if he got the full, grab a hold of the biceps and strangle, if you watch it again, watch how he taps him with it. Like this, that's, I'm sure, strong. Look, see how he's got his arm on his forearm? Yeah. That's for sure ridiculous and sucks 1,000 dicks. Yeah. But it's not as hard as he could do it. If Gordon went all the way over, but what he's doing here is also he's trapping the right arm so he can't really defend himself. And he's got the other arm trapped in his legs. It's really brilliant if you look at it.
It looks like his right hand is loose too. It doesn't even look like he's pulling, and look at that. It's sliding down.
Yeah, well, you see what he's doing? What he did was he traps his left arm with his left leg, and then he traps his right arm with his left arm. So he's one arm strangling him with the guillotine, and Galvao literally can't defend. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's not an awesome way to tap somebody. It certainly is. But that's not the hardest he could do it. The fact that he can tap world champions with a technique that is utilizing, a small percentage of the power that he would get if he fully locked and clamped down on the head, or if he got a gable grip. I mean, it's wild. It's a one-arm rear naked strangle is what it is. It's crazy.
And
to
it's
do that
right
on a world champion?
Yeah.
To do that on a world champion?
Who can take a lot of pain.
Yeah, dude. He's such a bad motherfucker. Gordon is the fucking man.
It's crazy to see anybody that good at anything.
At anything.
Yeah.
At anything.
It's like watching a ball roll downhill. It's like he's eventually going to get him.
Yeah, well, that's what they always said about Hickson in his prime, too. It was a really similar kind of feeling that everybody had. Like, you couldn't keep up the rhythm. Eventually, he's going to get you. Like, everybody who rolled with Hickson had the same statement. They would all say the same thing. They would be like, he's the best. He's the best. And that's what they say about Gordon. Yeah. It's like there's these guys in sports, for whatever reason, man, they have this fucking extra gear. And they can put in more focus and more dedication and more energy and more intelligence. And they can formulate better strategies, and they're more effective with their time management. And they don't fuck themselves up in their personal lives so that their lives filled with chaos and they have all these distractions. It's really rare that you find someone that can do